This is the podcast where we get to interview the best and brightest entrepreneurs from down here in South Florida, finding the do's and don'ts of running a successful business. Again, catch all these episodes up on iTunes, iHeartRadio, or wherever you catch your podcast these days. Today, we got John Rourke in the house. He's the owner and founder of Blueline Moving and Storage, and I am excited for today's episode because right before this episode, we were chatting about how many people are leaving our home state, New York, and coming on down to South Florida. So I'm interested to really pick your brain, John, today of really what is happening, right? We all read these stats, we all watch TV, but you really know, from your business, what's really actually happening with the amount of people moving down here and where they're going. So, John, thanks for coming out to the Shrimp Tank today. Start things off. Tell us a little bit about your business.
Yeah, so I own Blueline Moving and Storage based out of Jupiter, Florida. I was able to purchase this business back in October of last year from the old owner. And I actually worked for him for a short period of time when I had gotten out of the Army. And so I've come kind of full circle on this business. I got to learn it from the ground up, actually moving furniture and sweating with the boys and climbing the staircases and double parking in New York and getting screamed at and, all the things that come along with being in the life of a mover, driving long distance, staying in shady hotels. It is what it is. I mean, but it's pretty cool to be able to come back around to the business again and take it over and then run it from the top and get a better understanding of how that works as opposed to just being on, the ground floor in a moving term, and knowing it that way, putting your sweat equity, so to speak, into it and then being able to come around and take it from the top.
You just brought back memories in New York, double parking and getting tickets. Yeah. How many tickets have you received from double parking?
It's at least a dozen. Double parking, usually the cops are pretty cool. They see back in the day, the name of the company was 50 Moving. So they say, what are you with the police? So, what you have to say? Oh, the owner's a police officer. Oh, okay, man, could you move the truck, and keep it along? But then
that's funny.
How that goes. I mean, now it's Blueline. So, some, people are like, oh, is that Blueline like thin Blueline? I said, that's correct. It is. So, a lot of people appreciate you just putting it out there like that, That's a risk in itself.
So let me clarify a little bit. You were a moving guy, basically carrying the furniture and that sort of thing.
Yes.
And now you're the owner of the company. How about in between there? Did you have any other jobs in the moving company? Did you do anything like in management or anything like that? Or did you go straight from, well, not straight from, but your experience with moving is working on the ground floor, but then being the president?
Sure. So after about 4 months, the owner was like, "Listen, you could tell that I had leadership capabilities from coming out of the Army, and he's put me on as a supervisor, running crews, and going from that, taking care of the customers' complaints and handling the billing and making sure the guys show up and making sure we have all the equipment on the truck and." All of those positions, so I kind of knew it as a job foreman as well, but I didn't really know it from the facet of marketing it, expense, payroll, maintenance on the truck, so everything that goes along with the moving industry and really any industry for that matter. I didn't know any of that stuff, but I went back in the Army. Like I said, I was able to retire in 2015 from the Army. So the Army taught me a lot of those valuable lessons on managing people and pressure situations and how to react in those kinds of situations. So it kind of matured me as well over the course of my career. I grew with the Army, moved to different locations, got married, became a father. All those things led up to me being able to take on such a daunting task of running, it was a medium-sized moving company at that
Before
point.
that, though, you'd already started another business.
I had already started.
So tell us about that one, because you came out of the Army and became an entrepreneur, or had you been an entrepreneur before?
So I came out of the Army, and I initially, when I retired, I initially worked for Florida Power and Light as a recruiter because my last job in the Army was a recruiter. That's where I retired. So I kind of transitioned into just kind of doing the same thing that I was doing in the Army and enjoying doing that for the Army. And so when I worked as a recruiter for FPL, it was just not the kind of recruiting that I was interested in doing. I'm more of a go to job fairs, go to schools, colleges, speak with people, engage with them. They can kind of see your passion for that you have for the Army and hear your story and really believe it, as opposed to calling people that are in another state and convincing them that they should go work on a windmill, because that's what I was doing, was recruiting people to work for windmills. So it's just it was a whole different type of recruiting that I just wasn't into it. And being in the Army for so long, I said, I feel like I have to work for myself. I have to work for myself. So a friend of mine had a garbage business, and I really loved it. It was like a niche garbage business. It's called valet trash. So basically, instead of bringing like a large garbage truck into mobile home communities, we would use a pickup truck with a dump trailer and then throw the garbage into the dump trailer and then transport it to the front or the back of the community, and then put it in a compactor instead of having to drive this large garbage truck through the community. They're loud, they mess up the roads, all those things. And then instead of having to bring it to the dump, we essentially brought the dump to the back of the community, so it cut off time. And I always loved that idea, but I was in the Army at the time when he was doing that, and he was like kind of burning out from doing it. And then when I got out, I was like, I think I could really make this business work. So I started All American Sanitation, and we started doing the trash collection and recycling collection, which we still do. And then I heard about what I thought to believe to be a great business idea, which was waste bin cleaning garbage cans. So being in that industry, I thought that was definitely a need for people. So I bought a trailer, a waste bin cleaning trailer, and I just started going community to community, all the high-end communities in Jupiter, HOAs, speaking with the HOA presidents, trying to get them to sign up for like a monthly recurring, can cleaning. So basically all those HOAs have their cans in their garage. It stinks up your garage. No one really likes cleaning their garbage cans. So I was like, this is a home run. Well, it didn't really turn out to be what I thought it was going to be. People loved the idea, but no one really wanted to pull the trigger. So I had to kind of pivot. I had this pressure cleaning trailer. So I started, doing driveways and doing people's roofs. And then I ran into a friend of mine that manages plazas. He's like, oh, my pressure cleaning company kind of failed me. Do you think you could come by and do this? I was like, yeah, I've never done it before, but I mean, spraying water, I'll do a good job, And then it went from cleaning one plaza to about 40 plazas now. So we do like a lot of the Publix plazas from Vero Beach to Boca, overnight work.
So you're doing this in conjunction as well. The other business, you got this one going as well.
I have that going as well, all under the All American Sanitation hub. So we have full-on commercial pressure washing. We pick up about 530 homes worth of garbage, recycling, bulk trash, and vegetation. And then I got certified as a minority certified business, and also as a small business, and as a disabled veteran-owned business. So that was able to open me up to being able to work with like Waste Management, Waste Pro, a lot of the big haulers, getting subcontracted out work to do things such as vegetation grinding. All the green waste that you put at your curb gets brought to a yard, that gets run through a grinder, which turns it into mulch. They then sell that mulch to a company that filters it, bags it, dyes it, and then you put it back in your yard. So it's like a full circle of recycling. I got into that with Waste Management. I was cleaning up behind garbage trucks with the pressure washing trailer. So if they blow like a hydraulic line, it'd leak all over the road inside an HOA community. They have to have that cleaned up. They would call me and say, hey, our garbage truck just broke down in such and such a community. Can you be out there within the next 3 hours to, get it cleaned up? And I would do that.
Well, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you this question.
Sure.
So you have this business. It's very successful, All American Sanitation.
Correct.
And then you came into the FAU boot camp, the Veterans Entrepreneurship Program, which we've been running for 6 years.
I did.
And you're operating as a successful business.
Yes.
You came into this, and I guess I'd want to inquire, like, why did you do that, and what did you get out of it?
Well, I mean, why would I not try to get knowledge that's free? Why would I not want to rub shoulders with other, potential small business owners and business owners, other veterans that are trying to achieve the same thing that I'm trying to achieve? I'm like a serial entrepreneur, so it's like I always want to keep doing more and different things. If I catch something that interests me, that I think can work, I want to know how I can get involved and how much time it's going to take me out of my schedule and see if I can make it work. It's it's just, I don't know, it's something in me that makes me want to just keep trying different things. And
Did it help? How did it help you when you went and bought Blueline?
it actually helped me because I met so many good people in the class, so many different contacts from so many different industries. It's some of the industries that you can use, and renting office space, and hey, I staff people. Do you need people to work? Things of that nature. And just meeting people at FAU, meeting people smarter than me that I can call on, and have mentors that I can call on if I'm really in a position where I don't kind of know what I should do, and I'm looking for someone to lean on to kind of give me, some knowledge based off of their life experience and what they had. So I was able to get set up with a mentor and kind of be able to email back and forth and do those things. And so just, gaining knowledge of different industries as well, like Steve, who's one of your sponsors, seeing what he did, and it kind of just motivates you to want to keep going, man. You're like, God, that's a good idea. Why didn't I think of that? That's awesome on Steve and that he did that, but it's such a good idea, and it's kind of fires you up a little bit to be like, there's so much stuff that can be created and so many different things that can be done and problems that can be fixed. I want to fix them, I want to do things more than what I'm doing now. And I just know the moving industry is it's kind of a recession-proof industry, kind of like the garbage industry is, no matter what the economy is doing, people are going to put that garbage out at the curb, and that's just the way it is. And that garbage has to be picked up, because if it's not picked up, then we have some serious health problems going on, and a lot of people could be in some big trouble. So that industry is always going to be what it is. And the moving industry, no matter if the economy takes a downturn, people are moving out of 4 bedrooms into 3 bedrooms. If the economy is booming, they're moving from 3 bedrooms to 5 bedrooms. So you're either downsizing or growing up. So there's always going to be people moving all over the United States at all times.
Unless COVID hits. To be fair, there was a pause there, I got to think, for 2-3 months when no one moved. So I got to pick your brain on this topic. When did you purchase it? Was it pre-COVID or after COVID?
So I purchased it in October of last year, October of 2020.
Oh, so it was booming when you purchased. So tell us a little bit about that purchase. Most people never get that opportunity to purchase a business, especially one that is booming during this time period. How did it come up for sale? What was it like the first 3 to 5 months, converting it over where you were managing it? Give us some more details.
So I purchased it off of, obviously off of my former boss, and a friend of mine. And he had been doing the moving since I can remember, since the 90s. So he was also a police officer at the same time. He's a serial entrepreneur as well. He's just like me.
Okay.
And he has the same fire as I do, where we see things, similar. And he didn't want to really sell it to anybody but me. And I was, able to use that to my advantage, so to speak, meaning he's holding paper for me. So we got creative with financing and got creative with that. I just bet on myself, believing that I could take his business to the next level and be able to pay him back in half the time that we had scheduled.
What was his thought process when it came to selling it to you? A lot of businesses like this never get sold, right? They could hire someone, pay him $100 to $200,000 a year to manage the entire business and really not give it up. The profit margins are quite high, I'm assuming, in this business. So what was his reasoning, right, behind it? Was it a certain age? I guess, what was the backbone reason?
So he was a hands-on owner, meaning he was on every job. He moved furniture, and he was into his 50s, and he was a police officer, so he sustained some injuries throughout his career doing that. And, I've worked on the truck. It's grueling. It's very hard work, and he worked on the truck for 20 years. He could never get off the truck. He wanted to be on the truck, out there with the guys, going on the long-distance moves. He was really trying to be on every job, so it wears you down. And it's a lot of people. And as it got busier and busier for him, it was more phone calls. His phone was constantly ringing. I feel like it just became so much for him and his wife to handle that they just said, I want my life back. I've been doing this for 20 years. I need to find something else. There's got to be something more than this for me. And obviously, he said, the first person I thought of was you. You were a great employee for me. I trust you. And it was really, it's a family business, right? So he has his stepdaughter working for the business, and she now works for us. She really runs the show for us. She is in the office. She goes on the estimates. She deals with the customers. So we work very close together, and she knows the business inside and out. She's been working the business since she was like 14 years old with her mom and her stepdad, which is the previous owners. So bringing her back into the business and keeping it kind of in the family and keeping the name Blueline, knowing my sister's a Palm Beach County Sheriff's deputy, my dad is a retired police officer. We both have the same political views. He knows I'm a family man. He knows that I'm going to do whatever it takes for the business.
So what went wrong, looking back, and what went right? These type of deals sometimes, what's on paper is not the reality of what comes true after a deal like this. And lots of times there's certain areas you're like, this is so much harder than I ever imagined, and you push through. So give us kind of some of the areas where it was a lot harder taking over the business and things that you've now improved in the business. Kind of give us some examples.
Sure. So one of the main thing was, the way I look at it business-wise is like you have to separate yourself from working the jobs if you want to bring in new jobs and you want to expand your growth. Like you can't work the truck moving furniture every day and grow your business simultaneously. It's kind of one or the other. Like you have to decide, do I want to be out going to real estate offices, going to job stuff and growing this business, talking to businesses and trying to do corporate moves, trying to do those things, or do I want to be on the truck providing that level of customer service that is kind of above and beyond where the owner's on every job. I feel like if you continue to do that, you get to a certain point and you can't be everywhere at once. You can't grow the business and you can't do the moves at the same time.
So classic working on the business instead of in the business.
Oh my God! I mean, and God bless them. I mean, the amount of Post-it notes and pads with coffee stains on them and people's numbers on them, it just gets out of control.
Well, let me ask you: do you do any moving at all?
I do.
Do you still? What percentage of your time?
Not much. So I have, to be honest, I'm a disabled veteran, and part of the disability I have is I have bad shoulders. So I have torn labrums in both of my shoulders, partially torn bicep tendon, arthritic AC joint. So lifting things, especially in the garbage business, it's harder obviously than it used to be for me. And I'm going to be 43, not that that's old or anything, but it's hard to do moves. But listen, guys call out. This is an industry of labor workers. So guys don't show up. They say they're going to be there. They're not there. The person paid for a 4-man job. Now there's only 2 because 2 guys called out. So like I have to pick up. I have to get on the truck. Mm-hmm. Like that's just the way it is.
Sure.
And I have to move furniture. And I feel like it's always the jobs that people call out on that wind up being like a 13-hour move where like I'm dead, literally dead after moving furniture all day. And
how much is your business's interstate? How much is local?
I would probably say 75% of our business is long distance and 25% is local. We do a ton of long distance. And that's not by design. It's just by the old owner was from New York. He was a New York police officer, so he had a lot of contacts in New York that people that called a number from up there call our number that we moved before. And I advertise in New York, obviously, because people are trying to move out of New York. Mm-hmm. So I've also, we have a deal with a couple of moving companies that are up there. And the deal basically with the other moving companies is they are so busy moving people locally that it doesn't make sense for them to send their trucks on the road for 5 or 6 days when they could do 10 moves or more in those 6 days and make twice as much money. So I'm always, not only am I just moving people from New York, but a lot of people would be surprised how many people I'm moving from Florida to North Carolina, to North Georgia, to Tennessee, to South Carolina, to those mid-states, the in-between states where you have wealthy New Yorkers moving down to Palm Beach and these areas, and they're paying for homes cash. And these people, these Floridians, have been living in their home for 30 years and have it paid off. And then they bought their house for $200,000 and they're selling it for $700,000 cash. And now they're moving to North Carolina, buying a cabin on the side of a mountain for $300,000 and putting $450,000 in the bank. Mm-hmm. And just that's it. And hey, whenever we want to come to Florida, we'll just drive down or fly down, VRBO a house, get our taste of Florida, and then go back to North Carolina and have all this money in the bank. So that is happening a lot. So basically what I've said is, like, in the moving industry, you want to get it coming and going, right? So if I can get a move I know that's coming from New York to here, and I got someone moving to, say, Virginia or North Carolina, I'll drop them in North Carolina. My guys will make the next 9-hour drive from North Carolina to New York, pick up the load, a full load, and drive back. And now I got it coming and going both ways. And the moving company in New York is cool with it because they don't have to have their 2, 3, however many guys it's going to take to do the job, plus their truck, gone for that extended amount of time. Now they're like, hey, I have all my trucks local. I can move all the people out of the city to upstate or to Long Island or to Connecticut or New Jersey, and I can just keep that going. So that boom is like in New York of not just moving out of New York, but just moving out of the city has really created a boom for my business, taking these people that are moving out of the state, and I'll just take them off their hands, and I'll do those moves.
And it's going to turn around one day because
course.
New York, city that never sleeps. Like everyone's going to go back there one day. All it's going to take is a big corporation like Amazon to do some crazy lease, like 25-year lease with all these tax credits, right? And Amazon was about to go into Long Island City, Queens. They were. You're right, before COVID, and everyone was really pissed off.
Yes,
right?
they were.
And Long Island City has been built up. That's where I lived for almost 9 years before coming down to South Florida. And all it's going to take is an Amazon-type company, Google, Facebook, put their headquarters there, of course, and everyone's going to flock after college to move right back there, and they're going to need to hire your services again.
Correct.
Go right back to New York City.
Or a Cat 3 hurricane.
Sure.
And then they're gone.
They're like, whoa, there's hurricanes on here, and our homeowners insurance is going to triple.
Whoa, that's it for me. I'm going back to New York. And I mean, and like I said, I moved so many people from New York, and I'm like, why'd you move? And they're just tired of New York, man. They're over it. They're over the high taxes. They're over how dirty it is. They're over the crime. They're done with it, man. And they want to come to Florida. And so many people of their friends and family have now moved here and are like, you're nuts for staying in New York. If you can move, you should.
Which is the big element, the family part. A lot of people would never leave New York because you're like, oh, well, I have X or Y that I have to take care of up there. And a lot of the people have moved out, and come down here. So there is, that end of the spectrum with family that are moving as well. So I agree with you.
The kids are moving.
A lot of people are not going to go back, but you will always get that young talent, I think. Always that 21 to 40-year-old with the dream of hitting it big on Wall Street or,
it's New York,
or any type of tech industry. They're going back. So I do think, New York will figure its way out. There's so many smart folks that live up there that will tackle it. And there's no city like New York with the trains and buses and transportation. So
there's no changing that.
I think at some point, you're a New Yorker, I'm a New Yorker, we know that it will come back at some point. Well, we're going to take a quick commercial break here from one of our sponsors. When we get back, we're going to jump to our hot or not segment of the show.
Insurance companies, it's time to step out of the past and into the future with Oz's latest solution, Rainmaker. Reduce 10 years of human work to merely days using intelligent automation to process contract and claim entries. Increase job satisfaction, productivity, accuracy, data insights, and ROI while decreasing the time spent on projects. It's a no-brainer. Follow the hashtag #MakeItRain on LinkedIn and Twitter, or visit followoz.com/Rainmaker to learn more. That's FOLLOWZ.com/REINMAKER.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Shrimp Tank. As a reminder, catch all our different episodes up on shrimptankpodcast.com. Check out the bios of all these past entrepreneurs and reach out to them over on LinkedIn. All our past guests always tell me they're always happy to help out others and mentor and give advice. So now our segment is called Hot or Not, John. So in this segment, we're going to ask you a question. Tell us in detail why you believe it's hot or not. So we're just talking about New York City, right? So, one negative in New York City is the buildings go up 100 stories. So, of course there's houses in New York as well. That's different. But parallel parking, is it hot or not actually to work with folks that are living in New York City in these high, apartment buildings?
Oh, you already know that's a not. Like, if you're a mover, you want nothing to do. And it's the elevators, man. Like, these buildings are all old.
Oh, they're tiny, the
dude,
elevators.
The elevators are tiny, and of course every person has like a gigantic Pottery Barn leather sectional that nothing fits. Oh, I had this custom made dresser made, and then it's just. And
So
then
do you
gotta
get
take
paid
up
more?
the stairs.
Is it like, okay, the house on Long Island is, $5,000 to move, but that same amount of stuff that is in that apartment 50 stories up is $15,000 because of this?
So yes, it's more expensive to move people in the city, but it's because obviously if you have to go upstairs, that's a charge. An elevator is a charge because there's usually one elevator and the whole building's using it. So that takes that much longer when you're having to load everything into an elevator than it would be if I'm just like, oh, you live on the first floor in Long Island? Perfect. We're going to be in and out. As opposed to I'm double parked. I have to drive my truck around the block 3 times to get a good position. Then I have to load everything into an elevator while simultaneously people are trying to use the same elevator to like live their life, and they're like, these movers, get the hell out of here.
I never understand how they pull it off. Sometimes I've seen them sawing furniture, right? You have to put it back together. So these
100%.
couches and sofas, it's like, they're just cutting it in half. It's wild.
We did a move to Colorado once where I literally had to take the windows out of someone's house. We had to call a window guy. He removed the windows so they could get this couch that they just would not fit through the door or any door. And the only way in it would be through taking the windows out, and they just had to have this couch. So they called the guy, removed the windows, and put it through. But to go back to the New York thing, it's also the tolls. The bridges, like
the tickets.
I mean,
you're getting.
Do you know how much
tickets.
it costs to go across the George Washington Bridge, like in a moving truck or through a tunnel, or you're constantly paying just to get in and out. The cost of getting into the city alone, like it's just different. It's just the city is wild, man.
You're going to be going back there a lot in the future, I have a feeling so.
Yeah.
So how about affiliation with these big national movers? Is that hot or not? Do you have one?
Not with a national mover, but it's hot. Yes, it is. Because like I said, if I talk to the moving companies that I work with in New York, they would tell you that they're not big, right? Oh, we're not big. We're a little guy, but they're big. Like, they're not big like a national van liner would be, but they have, 30,000 square foot warehouses storing people's items in New York. So imagine the cost of having a warehouse that big, and they're full of people's stuff. So they're big moving companies, and they've got it dialed in. Like, they understand where their particular business can make money, and they're also making a piece off of. So when they give a load to me to take to Florida, like, they're not just, here, you can have all the business. Like, they're tacking on their 20% or whatever their percentage is, and then saying, hey, can you do it for this much? And then they're charging the customer a different price, and they're making that money, which is good for them. They should. They're the ones that got the business. Their guys went out and did the estimate, all of those things. And I don't care how much money they make. I have my number. I know what I need to make, and if I can make that number, I'll do it. If I can't, then I won't. So
more of an alliance than anything else, where
it's a partnership.
Confused as to whether these are franchises or Atlas and some of these other ones that have some local affiliation. How does that work?
So like with the national van liners such as Atlas and Mayflower and all of those beacons, so they want to partner with local companies, right? But you have to be a certain size. You have to have a certain warehouse. I'm not really interested in that. I have my brand that I'm building, and I believe my brand is better than their brand, and I want to grow my brand, the Blueline name. And it's one thing to name your company Beacons or Mayflower, and put a little sticker on the side of your truck. It's another thing to name your company Blueline in this type of environment that we're in right now, and back that name and back the blue and B for police and B for law and order. It's very tough right now to stand for something like that. And I take that with joy. Like, my sister's a police officer. My dad was a retired police officer, so it's in my family's blood, to back the blue. Obviously, I'm retired from the Army.
Have you had any backlash?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
tell us a story about
A couple eggs on the truck, a couple paintballs.
Yeah, like harassing my guys at service stations, like a couple of weeks ago, I just got a brand new truck, and I had it wrapped, like ridiculous wrap. It's so nice. It says Blueline, just big blue line on there. For sure, like, this is either a police officer owns this company or something's going on with them. They are definitely a police affiliated. So my guys are at a rest station. Some guys pulled up and were screaming obscenities out the window at them. A cab, F you police, blah, blah. My guys are like, We're movers. What the hell? I'm not a cop. What the hell are you screaming at me for, man? I'm just moving furniture.
So your
It says
trucks don't.
moving and storage.
Yeah.
Read.
I'm a mover. I'm not a deputy with the police.
Your trucks don't say BLM.
No, no. So
all right, let me ask you something about the business plans.
Sure.
Are they hot or not?
business plans,
Yeah.
not for me at least. I know for some guys, like my business plan was already written by the previous owner.
Okay.
It was just more about enhancing the things that he was old. He was an older guy. He, like I said, he used to work the truck. He didn't have a lot of good systems in place as far as keeping control of cost and jobs. And like he would call you and say, "Hey, can you work tomorrow?" type of thing. Whereas we send out Google alerts to your phone and text you, and you either can work or you can't. Yes, no, or maybe. It's that simple. So there was text me your hours as opposed to using what we use, a busy app. Clock in, clock out. Like none of those things were in place. So those efficiencies are now in place where it's not, I'm not texting people at the last minute to see if they can work. We text them week or 2 weeks out. Like as soon as I know I booked the job, we're already sending the invites out to the people that we want to work those particular jobs, and they can either accept it or they can decline it. If they decline it, I send another.
So the key thing, it seems like, it's efficiencies.
100%.
Where you have a working business plan from
Yes.
even at the sanitation company, same
Yes.
thing, and you find efficiencies, you find things in the operation, or you find innovations to get into new businesses. That's kind of what you're about.
Correct. So, the owner, God bless him, he's a great guy. He was old school, man, and he just wasn't hip to social media, and everything he did was word of mouth. All of the business that he got was word of mouth, was from prior clients that have used him and got recommendations, or people that he knew from the police department, or friends of his, or friends of their friends. Whereas, like, there was really no advertising on Google, on Facebook, on Instagram. There wasn't a whole lot of that going on. Whereas that is a major part of what we do. Obviously, is online marketing and reaching out to people and sending emails to prior clients through our email list and just saying, "Hey, we appreciate you. If you don't forget about us, if you're interested in moving again, or someone that's been kind of jog their memory," and doing all those little things adds up to getting moves. And it was just tough he just was over it, man. You know how it is. Like, you've just been working something for 20, 25 years, and you're like, enough. I just want to retire and he moved to the mountains in North Georgia, like every good Floridian is doing now. So moved to the mountains in North Georgia, got himself a cabin in the mountains, and I think now he's going to open up a pizzeria.
Cool.
In this small town in Hiawassee, Georgia. And that's what he wants to do for his retirement. I think it's a great plan. But it was really the efficiencies, man, and finding out about how can we streamline the process of what the moving business entails, which is the phone rings, you answer it, you get their information, what their inventory is, or you set up an in-person, and that's become tougher with COVID. It's been a lot more FaceTime, estimates, and as more opposed to going to someone's house, doing that. So that's been kind of tricky. It's hard to see everyone's inventory when they're scrolling you around their house with a phone, as opposed to being there and going room by room by room, writing everything down, So that's been different, but it's also been helpful because it frees you up to do more estimates, So you're able to do more instead of, hey, I got a guy in Boca that needs me to go to his house. From Jupiter, that's 30 to 40 minutes, depending on traffic, there and back, and then however long it takes while you're in Boca, as opposed to being in the office and them walking you around and saying, okay, this is bedroom 1, this is bedroom 2, and you're like, oh, I saw something on the ground. There's that rug going? Oh, yeah, sorry, yeah, that rug is going. Okay, how many rugs do you have? Is there a rug in every room? Throw rugs, stuff like that. Oh, I saw paintings on the wall. How many of those are going? So it's kind of been able to speed things up, and we've been able to do more in one day than we normally would. But then again, it's more efficient to do it in person because you have a greater chance of locking that job in when the person actually gets to see you, meet you, talk to you about, the conversations always go to something else other than moving. They see the name Blueline, and they're, oh, you back police? Yeah, we do. And then it's immediately, so what do you think about these masks? They want to immediately go to politics, like immediately. So what do you think about what's going on with Joe Biden? And then it's like boom, boom, boom. And then if you guys are on the same sheet of music as far as politics are concerned, they're going to book you. Like it's just, I've found that out, you know? So, so that it works both ways. But the phone's ringing, and the phone's ringing now mostly because of people that we've moved before, really. And we're just kind of getting in there with the Google and kind of figuring out what our best way of targeting people is on Facebook and stuff. But, I'm doing a lot. Like, I like to give back to the community. I like to do things and volunteer to do things in the community. Like I was explaining, I'm doing a cleanup in Texas at the southern border. I did one in 2019 with All American in inner city Baltimore. We drove from Jupiter to Baltimore, the Easterwood district of Baltimore, and we cleaned up 12 city blocks in 3 days. We picked up 25 tons of garbage off the streets in 3 days. I partnered with a garbage company in Long Island. They drove a rear load garbage truck from Mattituck and then drove to Baltimore, and then I drove from Florida, and we met there. And we cleaned up 12 city blocks. We worked with the local government. They said, hey, this is the hardest hit area for illegal dumping. And we went there and we gave back to the community. And, I figure who better than a garbage company to handle a garbage problem, right? So I partnered with another garbage company and we did it. And then during that cleanup, 30 minutes on the ground, 2 guys OD'd right in front of us, died. Literally, we're dead, no pulse. A lady ran out of her house with Narcan and gave us Narcan. We Narcaned the guys. They came back to life. Then they tried to fight us. Then they took off running, and the police chased them. So they were mad that we ruined their high. So that was kind of eye-opening, not only for myself, but for everyone that we were with. And then after that happened, we were on every single news station, nationwide news, CNN, Fox News, Breitbart, like you name it, they were there. All the local news people came, started interviewing us because it's a crazy story. Like it was, and at the same time, a cop got shot at, a little girl got kidnapped, all while we were there doing this cleanup. And then once people got out on the news, people started coming out of their houses. They started cleaning up their own neighborhood. And we bought about, $1,500 in garbage bags and gloves and rakes and shovels and all this stuff. And when we left, we donated all those items to a local church, and they've been maintaining it, the area that we cleaned up. And we brought the seed, the state flower of Maryland. We bought a bunch of those seeds off Amazon, and we threw those in all, after we clear out a field of garbage, we threw all the flower seeds out into the field to try and get the state flower to grow in there.
Black-eyed Susans.
Black-eyed Susans, that's correct. You're 100% correct.
I'm from Maryland.
Oh, there you go. So you know exactly what I'm talking about. So we threw black-eyed Susans out there.
So you'd say community engagement.
Community engagement.
It's really hot.
You got, I just feel like serving in the Army, man, and just having my sister serve, my dad serve, I just feel like I have this need to want to keep giving back, and I feel like that's where I can make the greatest impact, and that's why we chose to go to the southern border and do this cleanup at the southern border, because we initially were going to do New York City, and I saw on the news that one of the sheriffs was down there, was complaining that the Texas National Guard had been activated to pick up trash on the border. And I could not believe that, being retired from the Army, I've picked up my fair share of trash as a private. Like, hey, boys, there's nothing to do. We're going to go pick up garbage and, paint rocks today and clean weapons. Like, and this was pre 9/11. That's what you do when you're a private. Like, all right, boys, go pick up trash around the base, right? So, like, but to activate a National Guard unit and pay them active duty pay and all those benefits to go pick up garbage on the border, I could not believe that was happening. And I said, not for nothing, New York, we need to change this and go to the border. And honestly, dude, the crime in New York, like felt like at any time, knowing what I know from being in Baltimore, like we were putting ourselves at risk as well going into New York City especially at this time. It's really bad there right now. So we decided that we're going to go to the southern border, and we're going to be doing that cleanup on September 10th, 11th, and 12th. We just got approval this week from the Valverde County Sheriff's Department and the Board of County Commissioners. So I'm going to fill up my Blueline moving truck with canned goods and basic necessities, and we're going to drive from Jupiter 21 hours to the border. So we'll leave on the 8th, get there on the night of the 9th, and then start to clean up on the 10th. And we're also going to raise money to donate to the Valverde County Sheriff's Department to give all their deputies a bonus of some sort. So it's like a 3-phase. It's not just cleaning up the garbage, which we're going to do, but trying to bring food and clothing and basic necessities to the community, which has been overrun, not only with the illegal immigration, but also with the pandemic. Those border towns, there's not a lot of work there. There's people are really struggling. So I felt like that's something that we can do. I have the moving trucks, I have the manpower. Why not? So I'm trying to get that out there to as many people as possible, to try and get as many people to show up as possible, because many hands make light work, as we all know. So the more people we can get to show up, the cleaner it'll be.
I'm amazed right now. Oh my God, Travis over here is like in shock. He's been waiting to ask you a question over here. But Travis, I almost had to hand you a tissue for a moment there. Travis has a lot of heart to what you were just talking about. So Travis, go ahead, pop a question to him.
Yeah, you did touch exactly on my question earlier, John. Is traditional marketing hottest for your business, like billboards, mailers, radio slots, or is it a transition now where you see it going all towards those the new age stuff like Facebook, Google Ads, SEO?
I think in the moving industry, I think that the billboards and the TV commercials won't ever go away. Good Greek Moving is a prime example of that. They're on every billboard. They have commercials, and that seems to work for them. Obviously, they're a huge company. But I think, obviously, you can target people on Facebook, and like I'm nuts. So like 9 o'clock at night, I'm on my phone and I'm in groups of people, New York to Florida, moving questions, and I'm in there like looking for people like, hey, you know any good places to live? And I'm like, well, if you're moving, please reach out to Blueline Moving. I'm dropping my tagline in there and trying to like kind of guerrilla market through other chat rooms and groups and going through there. But not for nothing, man. Like being Blueline Moving and like trying to advertise on Facebook has become extremely hard to do, man. Like I'm getting, like if I put hashtag We Back the Blue, I don't get any play on that. Like no views, no nothing.
That's interesting.
I remove hashtag We Back the Blue, and that changes. So anything that says, if I put hashtag Thin Blue Line, hashtag We Back the Blue, Blue Line Moving, I literally will get nobody. Nothing.
Because you're getting blocked.
I get no likes.
Is that what's going on?
Yes.
You're getting blocked. You're not, nobody's seeing it,
and he's
right?
paying for ads.
And
so
I'm
it's
paying
Facebook
for it.
is
literally get 3 people. I remove hashtag Thin Blue Line and I remove We Back the Blue, and it's 300 impressions. It's 300 likes or whatever, loves or cares or whatever it winds up being. So that's crazy. Like that is crazy. So like having the name Blue Line, you attract great attention, and also you attract censorship, man. And that it's real life, man. And I'm paying money for that. So it's like, God, how I can't hashtag Thin Blue Line. I can't hashtag We Back.
Are we still on
Blue.
Facebook here, or we've been cut off?
We've been cut off Facebook. Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh no! The feed's going down. The feed's
They
going
know.
down. They heard us. They heard us.
For real.
The algorithm is
all of a
active.
sudden the viewers just drop off. Like, you know what I'm saying? Got one viewer, it's my mom.
Okay, last hot or not question before we jump into a commercial break. Let's talk about the hottest tech thing that you've incorporated in your business since taking it over. You talked about it being old school. One of our, sponsors is Oz Digital Consulting. They do some crazy stuff behind the scenes with tech and how to just free up time in a nutshell, right? So what tech stuff, can you give us, some advice on that you guys have incorporated that's worked out so well?
So like there's a one app that we use called Asana, which is kind of like a checklist.
Heard about it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So it keeps you in line, so you don't forget what you're looking to do. So anytime we're like, oh my God, I forget to call back Mr. Smith. He just sent me a text message, and you got a million calls. Put it in Asana, boom. You put it in Asana, you never forget. It's just like a checklist of boom, 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 and then you can literally go down the line, check it off. Busy is an app that we use for clocking in our guys to clock in and clock out, whereas the other owners were kind of just text me your hours. This tracks them where they're at when they clock in, where they're at when they clock out. Are they clocking out from their home? Or are they clocking in when they leave their house and trying to get those extra hours? That, and then the biggest thing for us is using the power of Google to be able to send invitations, Google Calendar invites. That's like our number one source of being able to invite people to our employees to work for us. Is kind of everyone has their phone in their hand. Everyone's constantly checking their phone all the time. So I know when I send an invite that they're immediately going to get it, and then they can check yes, no, or maybe. And if they check maybe, it's more so like, hey, I have a doctor's appointment, but I want to work maybe I can move it around. I'll get back to you, and they could respond to you that way.
And what about on the customer side?
The customer side has really been going to the website and being able to add in on the website their basic stuff. Where are they coming from? Where are they going to? How many bedrooms? How many square feet? So we can get a better understanding of who they are before we call them and reach out to them. We kind of already know the basic information of what they're doing. So just that kind of stuff for the moving industry is huge, because it's a lot of phone calls, man. A lot of people calling constantly.
And people want to know where their crop is, right?
Of course.
If they throw it on the truck, they're like, okay, when's it getting there? Is there tracking, which I'm assuming is all incorporated into your systems, right?
Correct. So the thing is with smaller moving companies is like, so when you're working with like a bigger van liner, they're like, okay, so your shipping window is anywhere from 12 to 30 days. Whereas like using a smaller moving company, it's like, okay, we're leaving Jupiter. It takes us 2 days to get to New York. Your stuff will be in 2 days. Like that's when it'll be
cool.
there. As opposed to a shipping window, whereas the big van liners, they're picking up multiple people on one truck because they have 53-foot trucks. So they'll pick up maybe 4 people's or 5 people's moves, and then they'll store them in their warehouse, and then they'll deliver them when they get a bunch of when they're able to fill that truck up again for that area. So that you're kind of like, damn, I'm not going to get my stuff for 2 weeks. Like with us, we're like, nope, 2 days. We'll be there, and it'll be the guy that loaded your truck will be the same guy that's unloading your truck. So
which is cool. The person doesn't have to explain it 5 times. Don't drop, the dining room table. That thing's $20,000.
100%.
Means the world to me.
And the person that loaded the truck knows where everything is, like the screws to your bed. Where are those things at? Like I know where I put them.
Especially if they had to cut your sofa in half in New
And
York
shove it
City
through the window.
and shove it through the window or something.
For sure.
Well, those are great points. We're going to take a quick commercial break to everyone, our sponsors. When we get back, we're going to jump to our Future Focus segment.
As we'll find out soon from John, hiring is a challenge for any company. If you've had to cancel in-person career fairs due to coronavirus restrictions or other factors, or if you're looking for ways to reach more qualified candidates, it's time to speak to the virtual hiring event professionals at Premier Virtual. Their best-in-class virtual event platform has powered over 1,500 events. They've had the experience and proven results to ensure your next career fair is a success. Visit premiervirtual.com or call 561-717-9717. Premier Virtual, the future-focused virtual event platform. And this leads us into our future-focused segment of the show. And basically, John, we just want to ask you a couple questions about hiring. Tell us how you do it. Tell us the challenges and how you try to overcome them.
It's like every other guest. You can see it. His head's shaking.
Yeah.
It's like everyone that comes on this show. It's the hardest.
I guess he hasn't done any virtual events.
Listen to me. All right. So I was just on Newsmax 2 weeks ago about this exact topic, because obviously it's a hot topic. People not being able to find work. Never in a million years did I ever think that my biggest competitor for jobs would be the federal government. I never once thought that I would be competing with the United States government for employees.
Because they're mailing the checks out.
Oh, come on, man. And you're making $675 a week on unemployment, okay? And if you have a girlfriend or something, you guys live together, she's making $675. You guys are making $1,350 a week as a couple, and work under the table somewhere and make a little extra side money doing something somewhere. Like, it has been nuts. At one point on what's one of the job sites, I forget which one it was, you name it, we're on like all of them, right? We had 26 people apply. One person showed up and we hired them. 20, and I'm not talking about just applied, like I'm talking they applied. I called them, spoke with them on the phone, did a phone interview, then set up an in-person interview, then called them the day before to make sure that they were confirmed that they were coming in, and they no-showed. Like, one guy showed up, and he still works for us, Anthony, and he's awesome, and he's like, I want to work, so he works for both business. He works for All American, and he works for the moving company. But it's that bad. So my way of getting creative,
You're making me laugh right now. Like, if you just show up, you're getting a job.
It's crazy. You have companies like McDonald's giving people $100 just to walk in the door to sit down for a job interview. So what I did, and literally the day that I went on the Newsmax show, I was driving by Gun Club Road, which is in West Palm Beach, Southern Boulevard area. That's where the National Guard Armory is. And it just came to me, and I was like, I'm retired from the Army. Like, I need to go to the Army Reserve Center. I need to go to the National Guard Armory And I'm an ID card holder because I'm retired, so I have access to be able to go onto the base. So I met with the company commanders of multiple units in there and said, listen, man, I'm retired from the Army. I need employees. I'm looking to hire veterans, obviously. I'm a veteran. Do you have any, younger guys or any, younger ladies that want to work in the office or want to get on a truck? Like, they're female movers as well. Like, my guys worked with 2 of them in Louisiana a couple of weeks ago, and they were awesome. So that worked out for me, man. That has actually been a home run for me. So the company commanders were like, oh, of course, we're about to come off active duty COVID orders, and we have a lot of our younger guys are going to be looking for work. Give me your cards, whatever the case may be. Within 2 days, I got 5 people. I got a future soldiers, which is someone that's about to join the Army. They have basically picked their job and have gone through the process of being recruited, and they're just waiting to ship. And then I got 4 other veterans and active, reservists and National Guardsmen. So that has been a savior for me to be able to, and they're high quality people. I know they've been background checked. I know they're not drug users. They're physically fit. They're all the things that I'm looking for in an employee, and they have those in spades. So once I was able to do that, the company commanders then sent an email out to the civilian that handles multiple National Guard centers, and then I was able to go in and do table setups at some of their drills. So they drill they're 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks a year. So on their 1 weekend, I was able to set up a table inside their National Guard armory, and then they would just come to me, hey, I'm about to come off these active duty orders since COVID is kind of winding down for us, doing the screening and all that stuff that they were doing at the ball fields and all that. And yeah, man, I'd love to see what you guys have to offer. So that has kind of been a saving grace of sorts for our company, because I mean, it was real tough for a long stretch of period. I was moving furniture a lot. Thank goodness for the employees that I have that stayed, that are awesome. Todd, Danny, Jerry, these guys have worked for the previous owner, stayed through the transition, and thank God for them, man, because without them, who knows where my company would be.
What kind of money do you have to pay for these jobs now?
So it just depends on your, basically if you have experience or not. For a person that has no experience, I'm paying $16 to $18 an hour. I try to pay vets $20 an hour. Depends on their experience too. Most people don't have experience moving furniture. Their only experience is moving their own furniture,
right,
which is not the same.
We
prep everything, we blanket wrap everything. Things, there's a way that it's done to not, so we're not breaking or scratching or damaging clients' items. So, but obviously we're not reinventing the wheel here. It's moving furniture. Right. You figure it out.
So how do you keep your employees, right? A lot of occupations like this, your competitor offers $2 more and they're out the door, right? So what is your solution to that? And it kind of ties to your mission statement, I have a feeling.
So I pay my guys top dollar. So I believe I'm probably one of the highest paying moving companies that are around. And the reason that is so is because I'm okay with making less money, man. Like, I was a mover. I know what it's like to move a sectional couch or a couch bed, which is the worst, from a crazy cat lady who's, has hair, you have cat hair all over your face, you've been moving for 6 hours, and you got this couch pressed up against your face as you go up, 4 flights of stairs because the elevator's broken, nothing's good enough for the client, they're screaming at you, oh my God, watch my walls, and you're just like, oh my God, I'm watching your walls. I literally have an entire cat on my face right now. So could you just please not scream at me the entire time while we're doing this? I got it. So I've been there, done that. I've walked a mile in their shoes, as corny as that is to say, and they respect that fact. It's kind of like when you're in the Army and you run into an officer that was prior enlisted. It's just a different level of respect. That officer was an enlisted, was a private, was a specialist, was even a sergeant maybe, then decided to make the jump to become an officer. It's an instant level of respect for that person because they've been that private, walking the base, picking up garbage, doing, pressure cleaning or nonsense stuff that kind of just take up your time. They know that, I know that they know that, and they understand me. And I understand my guys. I treat them with respect. I understand that they're human. I pay them what they should get paid anytime. And Uncle Sam, don't listen to this. Anytime we get paid on a cash job, I give the guys, I'll break them off, and you can ask them, I'll give them $100 each. Here, boom, boom, boom. Before I take the money, I give them the money, because without them, I have nothing. It's the fact of the matter. And that is what it is, man. And I appreciate the hell out of them, and I tell them that anytime I get the chance. And people want to work for you. When people feel like they're being shortchanged on pay or shortchanged on hours, they will eventually build up an animosity towards you, and they will try to screw you. And that is just how it is in life, man. Sure. Like, under the skin, like, they feel like, man, this guy is a SOB. Guy never does anything for us. He could care less, and they want to do. They just want to screw you. You know, they want to stick that couch into the wall just so you get that call and have to deal with the lady that says, you damaged this. Like, it's just human nature. It is what it is with that.
I love it. You know, so often people, say and talk about culture. They put a slogan on their website, but it's just not true. You can't fake that stuff. And I can sense your energy. It's not about the pay. The pay is one thing, but it's the other side of it. It's all the things that you're doing with the employees, and it reads right in your company mission: treating our employees and customers with respect and honesty, and do the right thing even when no one is looking, which is huge, right?
That's the correct thing.
It's not about Instagram. It's not about Facebook and just doing a post and acting like you're doing what's right for.
I could care less about that.
For employees. It's doing it, when it's just you one-on-one, when that employee's having a bad day, right? And you lift them up, and I could tell you bring energy to the table.
I care, man. Listen, I can't explain to you. I got goosebumps, and you can see them. I care about these people. These are my guys. This isn't a joke for me. This is my life. This is how I feed my family. I have 4 kids.
How do you sleep, by the way? Are you a 4-hour sleeper, 5-hour sleeper? You're just doing so much right now. So I got to ask.
I listen, man. Being in the Army, I hate mornings, man. I've woke up early for so many years. Okay, you got to get up at 5 a.m. Then you got to go do PT. 5:30, you got to be in formation. 5:45, you're doing PT. Then it's shower. Then it's like by 2 o'clock, you're like nodding off. Like, God, I've been going since 5 a.m. So I sleep till about, 6:45, 7 o'clock. If I could sleep to 8, I would, but that never happens. I have 4 kids. My kids are early risers at 6 a.m. They're creeping into the room, or they're giggling in the other room, or laughing, or whatever. And you're just like, But, yeah, man, it's called be, know, do. All right. Be a leader, know your employees, and do the right thing even when no one's looking. Those are the things that you need to do when you own a company. You have to take care of your employees, man. I could care less about getting rich. I don't do this to get rich or make $1 million. Like, if I bust my ass and I work and I take care of my guys, the money will come at some point. You know what I'm saying? It will come. But it won't come if all I care about is me. And all I care about is me making all the money and how I look on social media and what are the things like. That's why like people fail. They don't understand. It's not about you, man. It's about the people that you employ. They make your business boom or fail. Without them, what am I doing? I'm moving furniture, and I don't want to do that. I've done that before. I know that struggle. I want nothing to do with that.
Well, we're going to take a quick commercial break to hear from one of our sponsors. When we get back, jump to our final segment called Plead the Fifth.
Are you ready to make your indelible impression? DeRay & Company is an award-winning, full-service public relations and marketing agency with offices in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and Aspen, Colorado. With practice areas in business, real estate, cannabis, nonprofit, legal, and lifestyle, DeRay & Company is fully equipped to help clients reach their goals with strategies that are on point. Whether it's public relations, social media, digital marketing, content development, or other services, DeRay & Company delivers results for business owners that address their business goals and reach their targeted audience. To learn more about DeRay & Company and our services, visit DeRayandCompany.com. DeRayandCompany.com.
Welcome back, everybody. John, on this segment of the show, it is called Plead the Fifth. So you just got to stay away from saying those words, or if you do, you could say it just one time. After that, you got to figure out a way around some of these difficult questions. So we're just talking about PR. We heard from our commercial break over there, DeRay & Company. So we'll talk about what's the biggest PR nightmare you had when something broke, from some item you were moving, right? There's a lot of wealthy people you're talking about moving from New York to South Florida. They're not happy when something breaks. It could be a PR nightmare for your company. They leave a bad review. So tell us, what was your biggest, issue moving something that broke, and how did you handle it?
Yeah, so one time we were moving a client down in Davie, millionaire house, and they had like this glass curio cabinet, like all glass, super delicate, and we were we had it on a lift gate. It was super heavy, and we had it on the lift gate, and two guys holding it, and we hit the lift gate, and the lift gate kind of bounced, and it fell, like whoa, 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 and it kind of fell through my buddy's hand, like cut his hand open. A bunch of the glass broke, and we were like, oh my God, that's it. That's the end of the road. Like, this is a crazy expensive piece. And listen, man, like I tell people all the time, like, you just got to own up to it. Like, there's not, you can't hide it. Like, there's moving companies that'll scratch your item or ding something and then kind of turn it and put it up against the wall. And then 6 months later, you'll get a call like, hey, this isn't working, or I saw this big scratch on my furniture. And, I want to get in front of it. Like, I want to make it right. It's all about honesty for us and transparency. So, like, I just went in there and just said, listen, I got bad news for you. That curio cabinet, it actually fell off the lift gate. We broke the glass. Actually cut one of my employees' hands. We're going to have to get him stitched up. I'm terribly sorry. Obviously, my intentions weren't to do that, to break anything of yours, but I'm a human being, and so are they, and things happen, and I just want to know how I can make this right for you, how we're going to try and get it fixed and get it replaced, and they were totally cool with it. They were just like, oh God, are you serious? I'm like, yeah. How's your guy? We have to, he has to take off. We have to take him to, get some stitches or whatever. But they appreciate the honesty, man. It's like a breath of fresh air. The moving company is moving business is such a shady business. You hear horror stories all the time about, the moving industry of people showing up and then, charging a different price when they get there and holding your stuff. But for me, it's all about honesty. Like, we're Blueline. We are about police. That means doing the right thing, right? Like,
Sure.
We're humans. So things break.
So how expensive are we talking?
It was $1,800.
Okay.
So
that's
it wasn't
not too bad.
No, I thought it was going to be like a Giorgio Armani.
I thought you were going to say something crazy. Like,
no, man, that was like
$50,000 piece.
Well, tell us a story about the customer who was difficult, the worst customer you've had that you wish you'd fired or never taken the job with.
Oh my God! So there's a lot of people, man, that have been burned, and it's the ones that have been burned in the past by moving companies. So they will call you, and right off the bat, they are defensive right off the bat. Like, what's your DOT number? We just had a lady call the other day, and I mean, right off the bat, hello, this is Blueline Moving. How may I help you? Hi, I'm looking to move. I need your DOT number. And we're like, okay, where are you moving from? Where are you moving? Can we just get some basic, what's your name? Can I get your name first? What's your name? No, I need to know your DOT number. Okay, it's 350-7641. Okay, so I'm going to look it up while we're on the phone. Oh, so it looks like you have 4 power units. It looks like you're traveling this many miles per year. That's how many miles you're driving? I'm like, oh my God, lady. Like, what is going on? Can I peel this onion back a little and find what happened to you? Like, something at some point happened to you that, like, it's going to be okay. Like, and you fight through that. But there's been several customers where you just cannot make them happy. They're always looking to get a discount, or how much can you take off the move?
Do you try to bail on them before you ever do business with them, or do you go through with it?
No, I usually will go through with it because I feel like once they experience the customer service, that I can change their way of thinking. I always assume that they're so defensive or so grouchy towards us because they've had a bad experience, and I want to give them a good experience and then kind of flip them. And I just feel like I can do that, and our company can do that. So I try to take them on. But there's been, like, that lady that called with like, she got disconnected, and I was like, oh my God, do we have to? She calls back. I was like, nope, I want nothing to do with that because. I already know what time
You
it
don't
is.
think you'd make her happy?
There's some people.
Too hard for
I couldn't even get her name.
I really like your hiring strategy, the recruiting strategy at the armories
Sure.
and National Guard. And you talked about advantages of hiring veterans.
Correct.
What is the biggest disadvantage of hiring a veteran?
Well, in my industry, it's they don't have experience. They're trained through the military in an MOS, right? Some are mechanics, some are heavy equipment operators, some are intel analysts, some are whatever the case may be, whatever their job is that they went. And usually they want to do something in that field. It's just that it's a process to get into those kinds of jobs, and they need to make money now. So a lot of times they'll come in with an attitude of, I'm just doing this now to make money until I could find something else. And I understand that everybody doesn't want to be a mover for the rest of their life, but I'm trying to grow a business more than what it is now. I want to franchise this business. I want to grow bigger and larger, and that means that there's opportunities for these service members and women to grow with the business. So I explain that to them during the process, like, listen, man, I don't expect you to be on a moving truck for 20 years. I know that that's not what you're looking to do, right? But there's going to be management positions and supervisor positions and maybe a franchise position for you to take at some point. If you enjoy the team and the job and the travel, you might like it, So I understand, like, you're trained in this and in commo, and you want to do something in the communications field because the Army has given you this training to do that, but you might be pleasantly surprised. And I've actually had one of my employees, Gary, he is just that. He's a veteran. He just got out. So I hired his brother, who's a future soldier, Bruno. He told Gary, man, you should come work. Gary did commo in the Army, communication stuff, hooking up, the kind of equipment we're working on today and doing those things. And Gary worked with us for about a month. And then he came to me. I like Gary. Gary's awesome. And he's like, listen, man, I found a job in a communications portion, something I kind of did while I was in the Army, and I want to try and give that a go. And I was like, oh, man, obviously I'm sorry to see you go, but I want nothing but the best for you, man. Like, please, I hope you kill it over there, whatever you're doing. Do awesome. I'm sure you're going to do great. So he worked one day. He called me, sent me a text at like 7 o'clock at night. Can I call you in an hour? And I was like, yeah, of course. So he called me in an hour and he goes, listen, man, I effed up, I've been thinking about it all day. I want to work for you, man. Like, I believe in you. I believe that you're going to grow this business. And I tried to do this job, and all I could think about was like, man, did I make a mistake leaving that company? He could tell, like how you said, you could see the passion and the fire. Like, he could see that fire, and he knows that I won't stop. Like, I'm not going to quit. I'm going to blow this thing up. And that's the end of the story. And he wants to come along for the ride. So he's like, if you wouldn't mind, I would love to come back if you have me. And I was like, of course. Like, I didn't want to see you go, but I understand why you went. Like, dude, you got to do what's best for what you believe is best for you. I would never hate on you for that. Like, I want you to be the president for, whatever you want to do, man. Like, that's what I want you to do. But he came back because he believed, just like I believe, that we're going to take this business to the next level, and he wants to come along for the ride. So
you haven't had any issues with veterans having problems working with you, like with the disabilities, the same kinds of things you have? Have you had any issues with
nothing
that
yet?
Sort of thing?
Nothing yet. Nothing related to like disabilities or anything like that. I'm a disabled veteran, so right. I understand that where you're at, you have limitations, physical limitations on certain things you can and can't do, and mental limitations on certain things that you can and can't do. But I haven't experienced that yet. But you know what? I just started hiring and getting into these National Guard armies and Army Reserves and bringing these soldiers on. So I haven't yet run into those issues, but if I run into them, I'm sure I'll be able to handle them.
Do you have a hard time finding managerial talent within the company?
So
promote from within, or how do you do that?
No, so I actually am making Gary. He's going to work his first managerial shift because he was straight up with me and said, "Listen, man, I'm a leader." And I go, "I know that." I go, "But you can't just go from never being a mover and knowing nothing about the industry to running a crew. Like, you have to sweat it out, bro. You have to get that cat hair on your face. You have to. Mm-hmm. You have to pick up those cat piss stained rugs and put them on your shoulder and go, oh my God, I can't even believe these people are keeping this rug. It stinks." And then put it in the truck and then put that thing back on your shoulder and bring that thing into the next house. Like, you have to do that. You have to go on long distance trips, man. You got to know what it's like.
So in other words, the managers they pretty much
Oh, yeah.
have to work their way up through the ranks.
Have to,
That's
man.
pretty key.
That's what I did.
Yeah.
And that works. Like, you can't tell people what to do if you never did it before,
So,
man.
since we're supposed to get you to plead the fifth, I'll have to get into some other. How big is the company? What's the revenue, and how many employees do you have?
So right now we're on track to do about 1.6 million this year. To put that in contrast, the old owner was at about 650,000.
Okay. And what did you have to pay for the business?
I paid 650,000.
Okay. And are you 100% owner? Does the family have any equity or anything like that?
No, he has no equity in the business. He holds paper for the business.
So
with-
that,
yeah, exactly.
So the stepdaughter, she isn't an owner.
She's not.
Does that create any conflict at all, since she'd worked for the business for a long time and you coming in? What was the most difficult thing you had to deal with there?
So yeah, the family dynamic was difficult with them. So she, sometimes when you're working with family, you can't maybe see someone's talent when it's right in front of your face, but you don't see it because you're their mom or their dad, and that's your child. So you don't see it like I see it. Like, I know that she knew the business inside out, and she had a very strong grasp of, she's done moves before. Like, they've gone on long distance moves. She's done the pack. Like, we pack, we unpack, we clean houses too. So, like, we'll clean your house after you move out and clean your house before you move in. No other moving companies do that. So it's like an add-on that we do. She's done all of those jobs. She's gone on estimates with her mom before, so she knew how to do estimates. And I was just thinking to myself, well, I mean, it's a no-brainer as far as I'm concerned. Like, of course I'm going to ask her to come on board. I need to find someone who is going to work harder for this business than her.
So she's feeling more liberated working with you.
Yeah, I feel like that's the case, and it means something to her to do right by Blueline. It's a know, like, and trust, situation, where, like, I know her, I like her, and I trust her because I trust that she's going to do the right thing for Blueline because it means more to her because it was a family business than it would mean to just Joe Blow off the street who worked for another moving company, and now I'm hiring them. They don't have that attachment to the business that she has.
How many employees do you have?
22.
And tell us a story about an employee that you had to fire.
So I had to fire an employee that was like a supervisor for the business. So when I bought the business, the owner recommended that I make certain people supervisors that weren't at the time, but he knew I was going to grow it. And he's like, so when you get to that point where you need to add on more people, these is who I recommend. So I took his recommendations and I made one of the guys a supervisor under his recommendation. And the guy was a hard worker, knows the industry, knows how to do all of the things that a supervisor should do, has run jobs before, all of those things, but unfortunately I caught him stealing. So I had no other choice, and it wasn't just stealing items, it was stealing time. Like, so.
Are you stealing items when you're moving? He was taking.
So he wasn't taking people's items. He was he was doing moves on the side. So, like, when he'd have a day off, he would do a move for someone that a friend of a friend said, oh, I got a guy that can do it. He'd rent a truck and do it. But he was using, like, my mattress pads, my blankets, like, and who knows how long that was going on for. But in our industry, we get a lot of donations. So people donate things all the time. Like, they would rather just give them away than have to either pay to have them moved or go on Facebook. So we deal with, like, a lot of Jupiter Island, Palm Beach Island people. They're not selling dressers on Facebook for, $300. They're millionaires. Like, they don't want a million people calling them trying to negotiate a better price. Would you take 200? Like,
They don't want them in their house.
They don't want anything to do with it. Yeah. So it's just, they just give you the furniture. And, we work with a not-for-profit that we in turn flip that furniture to them, and then they sell it in a store. And they dress up as superheroes and go to hospitals for kids with cancer and try to do things for kids with cancer. So they have it's called Jeffro's Heroes. Shout out to them. So I will put the person that's donating in contact with Joey, and then Joey will come and pick up all the donated items. And if they want the tax write-off, they'll take it or not. But what this gentleman was doing, if he saw something nice, he would take it and then use my truck, drop it at his house, then drop the truck to the yard. So you're stealing my...
And then sell it.
Whatever you do. Just put it on Facebook and make, $300-400 or keep it for his own, but not mention anything to me about it. Use my truck, my fuel, and on my dime,
How did you catch this? Was it due to your technology because it's tracking now, or
Yeah,
what was the catch?
So before we moved into the warehouse that we were in, we had our trucks in one spot and our office in another. So when I bought the business, the person was renting like from a tow yard. Shout out East Coast Towing. And then we used to keep our trucks there. So we have an old storage truck that doesn't work. The engine's shot, whatever. It's old. So we just keep it to like store all our boxes and all our blankets and all that stuff. So we drove to the yard to do an inventory count so we can make more stuff. And the trunk to his car was open. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. So I walked over to shut the trunk, and then his trunk was full of like moving stuff. Boxes of tape, and he tried to tell me, oh, that's my stuff. But like the box of tape had the same chalk number as the pallet that it came in on. I'm like, okay. So then, also the truck wasn't there, like when it was supposed to be there. Hey, where are you at? And then it all just came out, man. So listen, man, it is what it is, man. You have to make a hard call. That sucked, but this is the business, man. Not everyone's great.
Okay, well, we got to get you to say the words plead the fifth. So I'll give it one last shot. What is your most hated competitor locally? And name the company.
Oh, Good Greek.
They're a past shrimp tank guys. Why do you hate them?
I wouldn't. I guess it's not a hatred to them. It's just more so like, I've heard horror stories from people that have used them that now use us. And say, oh, they say they're going to do this or that, or they jacked up my furniture, they weren't this, they weren't that. So, and they put it off like the official movers of the Florida Panthers, the official movers of the Miami Dolphins. You paid the Miami Dolphins to be the official movers of the Miami Dolphins. You're not the official mover of the Miami Dolphins because the Dolphins love you so much and they want you to move their furniture. Like, come on, man. Like that.
Tell us how you really feel about wearing masks.
Oh, come on, man. Like, do you really want to go down that road with me?
Well, you could just plead the fifth if you want to.
No,
you don't have to answer that.
I absolutely despise wearing masks. Like, they don't work. And if you've read Fauci's emails, you know that. If you can smell a fart when you're in a room through a mask, it doesn't work.
Have you ever gotten a situation where the politics caused a customer just to say, I don't want to do business with you? They found it. They didn't get it, the Blueline. They didn't get it.
You know what?
And have you ever had a situation where they say, oh, man, they're right in the middle of a move and them figuring that out and saying something about it?
No, I haven't. It's always usually the other way around. It's always pro-police. Oh, they want to get into politics because they know, like, we back the blue. So they're like, oh, you back the blue? Like, you're, Trump 2020? Like, whatever, Trump 2024? Like, I'm like, okay, yeah, let's get it. Like, you want to go down that road? I'm ready to go. Like, I love to talk politics. I'll talk politics to your ear.
So have you ever refused to move a Democrat?
No. No. I don't try to talk politics. They're the ones that bring it up. Like,
I have one more question for you, actually. I was Googling Blueline moving. I found a listing in Cedar Rapids, Iowa.
There's one more.
Do you know them, or do you have any? Are they the back the blue kind of a thing too?
I know that they exist. They're because they own BlueLineMoving.com. That's why I'm BlueLineMoving.net.
Yeah, right.
So I reached out to the guy one time. He didn't respond back to me. So I don't know. They're in Iowa, so I don't know how much stuff is going on up there moving wise. I can't imagine there's just a super influx of people moving to Iowa or moving out for that matter. But good on him for being Blueline Moving. I mean, I would assume that he's backing the blue.
Yeah, he's been in it for a long time.
Oh,
several years. So you don't think there'd be any problem there? He's going to see you successful and come to.
No, I mean,
I have his name.
Yeah, I mean, we could cross that path. I mean, like the old owner was called 5-0 Movers, and then he got divorced, and that was a messy thing. And I guess his wife took it, whatever. So he changed the Blueline, but it's not that's not a taken name. Like, he doesn't own that name. Right. I feel like at some point I'd love to potentially maybe see if he'd want to partner up or maybe buy him out so I can get that.com.
Right. Well, John is just so candid, he's not going to plead the fifth, I don't think.
I will not plead the fifth.
He is not pleading the fifth. So, John, thank you for coming out here to the Shrimp Tank today.
Of course.
And sharing your journey with us. And we're excited to see you expand. I could sense in the next 5 years we're going to have you back on the Shrimp Tank and tell a whole different story with 10 different moving companies that you've purchased, of course. So, well, thanks again for joining us. If our audience wants to reach out, what's the best route?
www.bluelinemoving.net, or you can find us on, obviously, Facebook, Instagram. Share the word for our cleanup, the Great American Cleanup, September 10th, 11th, and 12th. If you're in Texas, get out there. Valverde County, Del Rio is the city. We need all the hands that we can get down there picking up garbage and giving back. It's the right thing to do. Ask not what you can, your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for joining us here on the Shrimp Tank, and we'll be back next Thursday at 4 p.m. Take care, everybody.
I'm feeling like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond in the shrimp tank. When it take a swim, only option is to win.